let's talk about how we can practice the Sebastian Lee Etude Op 70 number 21 in E minor. As you know, I always recommend, if we're in the early stages of playing the cello, that we start by playing pieces pizzicato so that we get the left hand comfortable, and then we deal with the bow. So I'm going to put my bow down for a second, and we're going to start with this. Now, on the internet, in the Facebook Apprentice Cellist Club, my dear friends, there was a question, because when this etude appears in the Alan Schroeder Volume 1, there's a bracket that goes from the third note, this first finger note, to the sixth note. And you know, what is that bracket for? Yes, it means, as far as I can tell, to leave your first finger down. The question is, why would you do that? Two reasons. One, we want to have our fingers rounded enough, and there's various approaches, but we want them rounded enough so that they don't hit the next string up. So if I'm playing and my first finger is lying down, the open A string isn't going to ring and I'm going to be frustrated. If my fingers are rounded, I'll be able to do that. And having to keep my first finger on the E means that I have to round it enough that I can play the open A string. So that's one reason. The other reason is that when we lose contact with the string, hey, you saw Riley there, when we lose contact with the fingerboard, the hand tends to float off like an untethered hot air balloon. So when I play that C, my hand may go somewhere and I get the wrong note. It tends to go physically down, which means up the fingerboard, because this way is up because the pitches get higher. It's confusing for new cellists often. So my hand tends to float away, and because of gravity, it tends to go here. One of the ways that you keep your hand in the same place is to make sure that your thumb stays on the underside of the fingerboard. That is really helpful. But when we're first learning, and even when we're in advanced stages, just leaving a finger down helps a whole bunch. So you see, my E remains right where it needs to be. So this piece works great pizzicato. There are some places where you can't leave a finger down on a string unless you go to a upper neighbor string, but when you're going down, that doesn't help. And here's where keeping your fingers close, something like here, keeping the fingers close to the string and keeping the thumb in place. Here we go. Okay, then we go on. Courtesy sharp, so it should have ended with an F sharp. All I could see was that there was an accidental, and it would have been F sharp anyway. Don't blame me for playing the wrong note. It's all my aging eyes. Okay, so you get comfortable with it pizzicato, and then you don't have to worry so much about what are you doing with your left hand. And then you can play it by stopping the bow on each note. This is really great because it allows you to really get set for the next note, and you can make sure that you're opening and closing your arm at the elbow. That it's that swinging forearm that's so important. So. that's really good. And then you can do that faster. And et cetera, et cetera. As you are developing your bow technique, if you are to the point where you're comfortable with a brush stroke, and that brush stroke is not from the forearm, but it's where you're swinging your arm from the shoulder, and the bow is making kind of like smiley faces against the string. It's very beautiful that way. When I have the cadential measures, the first one is I'm like ending on a down bow, so I do a couple up bows. All of these etudes, which are so charming, can be great for doing bowing variations and working on different aspects of your bow technique. If you're really working on your forearm independence, you can do it all at the tip. So experiment. Of course, if you have a teacher in real life, other than the internet, talk to your teacher about what to do. Okay, and then finally, you can play it legato. And so here is the Sebastian Lee. Well, actually, on the video, this is going to be the beginning. So go back to the beginning of the video and watch me play it.